Hello, everyone. Dr. Michelini here to talk to you today about citing articles and web pages in MLA, a topic that is of interest and certainly necessary for your final research proposal and paper. So let's get started. As a refresher, let's go over what citing means. What is citing? Citing essentially is giving credit when credit is due. When is credit due, aka when should I cite? Lots of different times. One, if the ideas or information are not your own, they're not from your own head, cite it, okay? It never is a bad thing to cite too much. If you're using the exact words or a unique phrase or term of an author's that you have in quotes, like a quote, definitely cite it. Or if you have visuals, diagrams, charts, photos, other informational graphics that are not yours, you do need to cite them. Otherwise, it's plagiarism, okay? You have not given credit to the source. What does that look like? MLA citations are what we're dealing with specifically. In-text citations are the author's last name and page number. You're familiar with this already. And then you also have the works cited page. The point of having that in-text citation is really to give a preview of information to tell your reader that the rest of that information is under this name and page number in your works cited, okay, so that they can find the information later. All right, so it's like a short version of it, and then you put the rest of the information at the end in the works cited page. We do have previous MLA resources in our course content, so please take a look at those if you need a refresher, because this is specifically about web pages and journal articles. Let's take a look at a journal article first. I've pulled up a journal article that I found in the library database. So lucky for me, because it's in the library database, there is a way to cite it, okay? In this particular database, there's a little quote button that I can press. And if you press that quote button, it'll give you this option here. It'll say, what style do you want me to cite it in? Make sure that you select MLA, okay? If you don't select MLA, you could end up on any random citation style, and there's all different kinds of them. But MLA is the one that we're using for this class. So select MLA, and then it's going to give you a works cited that you can go ahead and copy and paste into your own document, all right? Now, the only problem is with these machines is that they're not 100% accurate. I wish they were, because I'd stop there and I'd say, just use the citation machine, but I can't say that because they have errors. So I'm going to walk you through how to do one for reals by hand, and then that way you know how to check it so that when you use a citation machine, you can go back and correct those errors and make sure that your citation is correct. All right, so let's jump in. Let's say that we are using this exact same article, and I have here the formatting that I want to make sure that I am citing in. This is the MLA format for citing a journal. Last name of the author, first name, title of the articles in quotes with major words capitalized, journal title in italics, volume and issue number, the year it was published, the pages, the database it was published in, the DOI, which is like a permanent link, and the date that I accessed it, okay? And then at the end, we'll compare it to the machine one to see how it did, okay? So first of all, I want to take a look here. I have 3 authors, but I'm going to walk you through how to do a citation with 1, 2, and 3 authors because you might run into it as you're citing your own articles. If it was just the first author here, I'm just going to put the author's last name, comma, and first name, and then move on with the rest of my citation. If I have 2 authors, I'm going to do last name, comma, first name of the first author, and I keep them in that position because the authors are in order of who did the most work on the article, okay? So whoever's name is first, they deserve to be first, all right? Whoever's name is second deserves to be second. But the second name does not get reversed. It just goes in the order that it is. All right, so you can see their first name, middle, last name here in the regular order. And we have an and to unite them. But I know here I have 3 authors. Whenever you have 3 or more authors, you don't have to list them all in MLA, which is really nice. You just do the last name, comma, first name, and then you're going to put et al. Here. And that's it. You can move on. So we're done with that part. Next, we are going to include the title of the article in quotes, okay? Now, whatever style this article title is in, I'm still going to capitalize each of the larger words in the title and put it in quotes. Sometimes article titles appear on the actual paper are like in all caps, or they only capitalize the first word. You're going to change that to fit the MLA format, which is capitalizing every major word and putting quotes around it like this, okay? Next, I'm ready to move on to the journal title. And where can I find that? It's right up here, okay? So on this bar of information at the top is usually the rest of information that I need. This is the International Journal of Caring Sciences. So I'm going to put that here in italics. And then next, I'm going to move on to the volume and issue number. This is volume 15. Notice I don't copy the whole thing. I change it to MLA, VOL period 15, comma, NO period 2, comma, okay? It's from 2002. I don't need the May through August, so I just put the year. I do whatever MLA tells me to do, comma, the page numbers it's from, okay? And to catch the page numbers, this is the first page number. I just flipped through the article. What is the last page? Oh, it was 1,329, so I put it here. And then I need the database that it's from. This one was from EBSCO Discovery Service, which is called EBSCO Host. So I'm going to put that here in italics. And then I need the permanent link, okay, or the DOI, or wherever I got it from. So I'm going to copy and paste that here and the date that I accessed it last, okay? So that is how we do a journal article. You notice that it's also a hanging indent, okay? There are resources to do a hanging indent online on YouTube. You can find a bunch of instructional videos, depending on whether you're using Google Docs or Word or another platform to do a hanging indent. They'll walk you through it. I also have these resources that I've shared with you on how to do hanging indents that are just like the YouTube videos. So you can look it up for yourself, or you can dig through our MLA resources in order to have that first line all the way to the left, and then every subsequent line tabbed in once, okay? All right, so let's check out how it did. Here's the original citation from that citation machine, and here is my citation, okay? So it did pretty good here, I would say. We've almost got it right, except it's got a couple of weird things. Sorry, it has this, I clicked by accident here. It's got the May here that we don't need. It doesn't have the date of access, right? The title looks correct. The journal looks correct. Good, it's done pretty good. So you can see if you're using a citation machine, like the one in the library databases, you're in pretty good shape. You're just gonna clean it up a little bit, okay? So come back to this slideshow, come back to this presentation, and make sure that you know how to do that, okay? All right, moving on. So the other type of thing that you will need to cite likely for this paper is a web page. Now, a web page is slightly different than a website. A website is like the whole site, okay? Like, you know, let's see, the Department of Health and Human Services or something, right? They have a whole site, but then there's individual pages on that site that have different types of information, okay? So here's a web page, like one particular page on the MIT website here, all right? Now note that you're only going to cite .edu, .gov, and .org citations for this paper. No .coms, no .nets, okay? So here's my website. Here's the format in MLA. Now, if you're using a random citation machine online, it's definitely not as reliable, okay? So I recommend just doing this one by hand, like I'm going to walk you through it right now. The first thing we want to do is the last name and first name of the author. And that's found right here by zooming in a little bit. I can see it's Dylan Walsh. So I'm going to put Walsh, comma, Dylan. Now, there's not always an author on websites, especially ones that are written like by the government, right? So it's done by an entity. In that case, you would just cite the group author or the organization as the author here instead. And you don't reverse any words. You would just put the name of the organization, Center for Disease Control or something, right? If that's the case, if there is no author. Next is the title of the web page in quotes with major words capitalized. So you can see that here, okay? This is different from up here. This is the title, again, of the big website, but the exact page I'm on is titled this. So that's why I have it circled here to distinguish between the two, okay? So I have this in quotes. Notice they did not capitalize every letter in the title, but I need to because I'm citing an MLA format, okay? So I have that in quotes. I have the period here. Next, I go to the MIT Management Sloan School. This is the actual name of the whole website that I'm going to put in italics here. Okay. So I'll bold that so you can see it. And that's the thing that goes next. Then you need the URL. Note that the title of the website and the URL are not the same thing. Okay. The URL is like that www. whatever. It's not the same as the title of the site. So whatever the name of the site is, get that name before you put the URL. Next, copy and paste that link from the top and put it here. And last but not least, the date that you last accessed it. Okay. So there is our complete citation for this web page. All right, so now that you have your two works cited citations, you might be wondering, well, how do I cite these in text and MLA? They're not that different from the way that you've been doing it so far in this class. In fact, it's the same. It's the author's last name and the page number, okay? So remember, you want to integrate your quotes like this. So with one author, it would say, he writes, tell it like it is, which overlooks the more important aspects of rhetoric. And this is from O'Connor, page 8. If there's two authors, okay, it's going to mimic that format that we just went over, where it says Smith and Toplick, like right here, okay? You're going to use the and, you're going to put both last names and then the page number. So here, when the tree frogs began copulating in late April, they use a technique called amplexus, all right, from page 67 there. No commas in the in-text, right? Just the author or author's last names and the page number. If there is no page number, don't include it. 3 or more authors, like we had in our example, you're going to use that at all. You do not have to worry about listing them all. So here we have social media can be harmful to all, but its effects on teens are particularly damaging. Rodriguez et al. 34. Okay, so you're going to et al. Means and everybody else, you're just going to plug it in there with the page number. Okay. If the author's last name is used in the sentence, you only need the page number in the in-text citation. So it would just look like parentheses around 34 if you said Rodriguez et al., write that social media can be harmful to all. Okay. So this is exactly what I'm talking about here. If there is no page number, you only need to include the author. All right. So Rodriguez et al. Argue that there's no such thing as a healthy amount of social media use. And if this was a web page and there was no 34, no page, you would just leave it as is, delete it, and just have a period here. Okay. Okay. Last thing here, do not include any other information in the work cited. No journal article title, no website title, no book title. All of that information is saved for your works cited page. That's the whole point of having a works cited page, is that that information doesn't clog up your paper. This is your paper. It should primarily be your words. You do not want it clogged up with a bunch of information about where you got a source. That's why it goes in the works cited page at the end. Okay. All right. Couple of extra notes here. As you are reading through and finding sources, make sure you take notes. Scan your source, the title, if there's an abstract, the little summary at the top, and headings. Is the article or website helpful and on topic? Is it answering your research question? Read with your research question in mind. Does this particular piece help answer it? Does it provide necessary background info? If you're getting off topic, find another source. Now is the time to nail down your sources before you're actually trying to juggle writing your paper and finding sources. That's too much at once for this kind of paper. You want to find your sources first if you can. And you have to, it's part of the assignment. Take notes according to your headings and your research question. Highlight or copy and paste any potential exact quotes into a new document. So as you're reading, take note of where you might want to cite from this paper or article or website. Copy and paste the quotes, pull them out, do your citation, right? Say, where might I use this? How does it answer my research question? That way, when you go to write the paper itself, you don't have to go back and chase down quotes and reread the article and figure out, what quote am I going to use? Do I like it? Does it support it? Blah, 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 blah. You can do that work now and then have it ready. And then when you go to write it up, all your quotes are there. You're ready to use them. You know they answer your research question, etc. Okay. A note, you can use more than 5 sources, but with caution. Remember that every source you use, you're going to have to read like this and take notes. So I would expect that you read a lot more than 5, okay? Maybe you're reading 50. You're going through them and saying, you know, you read a couple lines, not helpful. You read the first line, not helpful. You read one, you're like, oh, this could be helpful. Let me get into that, okay? But actual using sources, you don't want them to take over your paper. So be careful with more than 5 sources or using more than 5. Read definitely more than 5, but deciding, you know, keep it low, about 5, maybe up to 7, depending on if you needed a source for a definition or something. And finally, be ready to summarize. So after this week, we're going to be moving into summarizing your sources with an annotated bibliography. That's what's up next. So you can expect that you'll want to be familiar with these sources and be ready to write about them. Okay? Thanks so much. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. See you online.